Okay, hi guys, I'm back. I'm sorry that I just continue with a new video 1 year after my last one, but it happened a lot. I just moved to Russia, and of course, I have really nice opportunities here to play chess. So I'm trying to using it. I'm trying to getting around, playing some tournaments, and doing some stuff, winning some games, and here, now I'm studying at the Tomsk State University, and here I just played the Tomsk Oblast Championship. It's like the regional championship of the city where I'm living in, and I want to commentate my games for you, and I hope you enjoy it. Just have fun. My first game it was against Andrei Serykh, and I was white, and it was my first tournament game, my first classic game after some months. So I was pretty excited, especially because the ratings of the Russian guys are sometimes a little bit lower than their real strength. So okay, but let's see. I played e4 as usual, and my opponent replied with e6, a typical French defense. Okay, and here I watched actually some YouTube videos from Niklas Huschenbeth, and he gave me some inspiration here, and I was trying the move d3 for the first time. Well, it looks a little bit weird because it looks so passive, but maybe you will see the sense of this move in the next few moves from black and white. So how can black continue? Of course, d5, just fighting for the center, and now the weird looking move queen e2. The idea is just to get some king's Indian setup. The setup is made with following moves with g3, bishop g2, knight f3, and so on. And usually this pawn wants to go to e5. So that's the typical setup for the king's Indian, with white, of course. And yeah, we can watch how the game continued. Just knight f6, logical move, developing and attacking the e4 pawn. Knight f3, bishop b4. Okay, that was maybe the first move which was a little bit awkward, because I mean I can just play c3 and getting an important tempo, but I think maybe it wasn't that stupid later as it looked, because the bishop, which is usually a little bit out of game, maybe because the pawn, I told you, he wants to go to e5, and the bishop will stay on e7, or maybe it can go to g6, but then the dark squares around the king are weak, so maybe it should go to e7. And I think maybe it's a little bit passive there, so okay, it was an interesting idea. So c3, bishop a5. Now I realize maybe the bishop wants to go to b6, wants to go to c7 after c5. So I thought it's maybe a good idea, but I think it wasn't played before. I actually never saw it, even in my database not. So okay, I played e5 now, knight to 7, g3. I think the problem for black is that he used some important time about his bishop, so I can later play with d4. So when he wants, for example, with the typical idea of f6, trying to distract the e-pawn, because of course this one is the heart of the whole white's position, because it gives white some space, some room to attack. For example, with a4, h4, h5, to attack the black king after that. But here it's even more effective, because black has no development at all now. So okay, we can continue. c5, bishop g2. Again, you see now after c5 the d6 square is a little bit weak, but I think I cannot use it now because well, I have no access to it. But the f6 square can also be weak in some variations. You can see it because the plan of the idea of white's position is to go h4, h5, h6, and to undermine the g7 pawn. So after that, the f6 square will also be weak, so you can use it for a nice kingside attack. For example, you can use it with the idea of bringing the knight to g4, or yeah, to another square where you can reach the f6 square. Okay, knight c6, so attacking the e5 pawn, of course. Short castle, short castle. Bishop f4 to support the e5 pawn again. Bishop c7 and h4. I think here's everything normal, maybe. f6 now. So now maybe it's the first important decision of the game. I mean, I could take and black would have the, well, backward pawn on e6, but I think maybe it's not necessary because he can take on f4 and I have my kingside structures totally messed up. But I had an idea just playing d4, just supporting the e5 pawn because I want that it stays on its position, because as I told you, it gives the white a lot of space and good options on the kingside attack. Yeah, so I had to worry about what happens when he will take, or when he will just go f5, which is a typical idea in such kind of positions. But I think here it doesn't work well because I already played h4, and the diagonal of d8 h4 can be so weak when the pawn goes now f5. So for example, I can play bishop g5 or knight g5 and directly have some attack on the king side. Okay, so let's go on. CD, CD, and bishop b6. Now he wants to attack the d4 pawn, but I think I can easily cover it with rook d1. Takes, takes. Everything is going away. And, well, my pawn on e5 is still alive, and I think now I really have an awesome position. Knight c5, knight c3. And queen e7. Okay, I think for black this position can be very hard now, because, I mean, where should his bad bishop go? That's always a problem in French. Sometimes it can be solved with maybe this idea, d7, e8, and g6, but since I will, for example, play h5, and maybe it's a little bit hard for black to reach this aim, and of course, again, it takes a lot of time. So h5, of course, threatening maybe h6, because it can be very bad for black, as I told you. When I reach h6, this square can be weak, but unfortunately h6 is not an option, because, yeah, you see, this is even worse. Knight h4, knight g6, and ouch, that's not nice. Okay, so let's go on the game. Continued queen f7, h6, g6. So you see now, this is not really nice. It's a bad square. I think since here I played pretty okay, and I was pretty satisfied. So yeah, okay, queen f7, knight g5 is so logical, just attacking the queen, putting the knight in a better position. Queen e7, and now you see all the weakened squares about around the king. Yeah, and I think now I missed a very nice tactical possibility. Actually, I saw it, but I was not brave enough to play this. It was bishop takes d5. Yeah, why can't I just sacrifice my bishop here? I think it has just a simple reason that when black takes, I can take with a knight, and after queen e8 with this the only move, because of course it cannot go into the d file, because after that knight f6 just wins queen, because there's a rook. And well, what can black do? Only to e8. So now I think I missed a little bit the move b4, because yeah, why this move is necessary. The knight on c5 protects some important squares, such as e6, for example, and I cannot go knight f6 now, because when the rook takes on f6, e takes f6, my queen would be hanging. So when I can force black to play knight e6, I can play knight f6 after that, takes, and threatening f7 check. So that would be totally disaster for black's position. So now he has to go maybe to another square. Maybe, I don't know what will happen if maybe knight a6. Oh, maybe knight a6 is not a good move. Maybe knight a4. Yeah, that's just a move when the knight goes another way, but then there's the idea with queen c4 so strong. Again, knight f6 is threatening, and also some more threats because, yeah, just it threatens double check when the knight moves away. Okay, so for example, when now goes bishop e6, I can just take it away and take another knight, and I think I can win my piece back with such a winning position here. So that would be possible, but I underestimated before maybe. So I decided just to play calmly with rook ac1, rook f5, going back, and okay, some moves now. I think now it's not really interesting, the game goes just away, and now bishop g5 and bishop f6. Yeah, I just wanted to use this bad squares of the king side, but I think I didn't do a good job in this game, because after bishop d8 I didn't use the possibility of knight g5. Okay, I used this possibility, but after queen e8 I should maybe just play knight b5, and again threatens knight d6, and well, after the following sequence, the problem is that the knight on c5 is hanging, so black again has a huge problem, and he cannot take on f6 because there's always the threat of f7 check. So again, I missed a very good possibility. I think I wasn't that awake at this first round of the tournament. So knight g5, queen e8, and I just took it away. I thought, okay, maybe when the bishop is gone, the squares are weakened even more. So take, and playing f4 to support the e5 pawn and to protect my knight, of course. Knight goes away, wants to go to the nice square of f5, but okay, now I play very, very calmly, maybe too calmly, but I think it's just a good position for white here. Queen b6, okay, I could just go away, and yeah, you see, everyone has his good squares maybe, reached his good squares, so I have to exchange it. And now I can reach the dream square of d4, because now I attack the e6 pawn, and this is bad for black because it's always a weakness in his position. And of course, all the other weaknesses of g7, f6, and so on are still working. So this is a huge problem for black, and I think he is under a lot of pressure here in this position. So he decided to go knight e4, but I can just exchange it, and after f takes e, I took on c8 because I didn't want that in the following sequences black can take on c1, which would have avoided the following variation, take, and now f5. Okay, f5 it seems like sacrifice of a pawn, because when black takes, I cannot take back, and after queen g5 they can maybe queen g6. But my idea was just to open the position up a little, and yeah, to use finally these weakened squares about the black's king. After e takes f, I can play e6. I think it's very strong because he cannot really take because of the queen g5. It's maybe kind of over, I don't know. It seems so because, for example, bishop e6, queen g5, and then queen g7, and it's not that nice. Okay, so bishop e8 to go to g6, but queen g5 anyway, bishop e6, and king h1. Okay, king h1, why? Just because I want to move my knight. It's pinned, and I was so annoying, so I decided to move my king away. Maybe there were some more direct options, but I think, for example, queen f6, he already can react with some other moves. Maybe queen c7, okay, maybe e7, maybe queen d4 after that. I don't know. I decided just to go the easy way with knight f5, going to the f pawn, and of course he cannot take, and when the knight comes into the game it's over for black. So we tried to exchange queen now with queen d8, after that e7, Queen e8 and knight takes f5, 1 up and nice position. Of course, this position is already won. Queen f7, rook f1, d4, king g1, and now after rook c5 I have a little nice end tactic. Queen takes, knight e7 check. And okay, I would win a queen when he would just take here and after that is checkmate, but he decided to allow me the checkmate on f6, and that's the way how this game ended. I think it wasn't a perfect game, but for the first round it was okay, and I was just glad to win this first round and to have the good beginning for the tournament. And yeah, thank you for watching, and we will see each other again to the next game.